183,000 likes. 183 for child abuse. It's crazy. How is that okay? One tweet from the Christian mom. Yeah, that is what child abuse looks like. This is literally child abuse.
I'm a boy.
You're not a boy. Don't ever say that again. You're a girl. You understand me?
Yeah.
Jesus made you a girl, so you are a girl. It's what you're meant to be and what you'll only ever be. You understand me?
Dad is a boy.
That's correct.
I don't say that again. Sorry.
Thank you.
Ah.
Hey, you love the body that Jesus gave you, and the body he gave you is that of a girl.
This is abuse. This is literally child abuse, right? This doesn't mean that your daughter is trans or whatnot, right? It doesn't mean that. It's just like the way that it's being handled. It literally shows me that like transphobic parents are just like abusive. It's like so sickening. It's the same with like, I think it was actually like the owner of the Lips of TikTok account posting like chat messages where her daughter was like, what is non-binary? I think I might be non-binary. And then the mom was like, you're not non-binary. That is just like a term that's being used for people to feel special. You're a girl. You will always be a girl. Stop saying that. Like, it's just abusive. You could have been like, hey, why do you feel that way? You know, the same way of logic as like when a girl says like, oh, when I'm going to grow up, I'm going to be like my dad. Or, you know, I'm going to be a boy like my dad. Or something like that, right? You could be like, hey, why do you feel that way? Is that like something, you know, do you not want to be a girl? And you're going to like figure that out, right? You don't have to like immediately jump to like, oh, we're going to have like hormones and do like surgeries. Like that is not what's happening, right? It's just experimental and like a social transition phase, because the only way you can actually get the treatment is if your child is persistent in that gender identity, right? If this is just like a moment, if this is just like a week thing or like 2 weeks things, like it has to be persistent for like a long period of time, like 6 months and so on. But to be like, no, you're a girl, you will always be a girl. Jesus gave you the body of a girl. You're going to love your body that Jesus gave you. You cannot change your sex. Like, that is just abuse. It's basically just bullying, right? If your kid is going to be like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be an artist. And you go, no, you are born to be a mathematician. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be a doctor. Like, that feels like abuse. Honestly, to be like, no, your passion doesn't matter. You have to be like, I want you to be. Way to invalidate your child? Yeah, exactly. It's on the same level as like, you have a son and he wants to dress up as Elsa and you go, no, that's for girls. You're not allowed to do this. This is literally like shaming your child for doing something. And it's like, let your kids be kids, let your kids experiment and not force like this rigid, arbitrary gender binary onto them that you've been bullied into. It is abusive to be like, no, this is for you. What you like doesn't matter. What I like, what is meant for you, that is the only thing that matters. You have to fulfill this. You have to fit these standards. That is abuse. You're invalidating your child. And that shit, you know, little girl, I'm a boy. Mother, you're not a boy. Don't ever say that again. You're a girl. You understand me? Jesus made you a girl, so you're a girl. It's what you're meant to be and what you'll only ever be. That is so abusive. It's like, oh, this path has been laid out for you. You're going to grow up and be a wife. You're going to get pregnant with 2 children because I want you to have 2 children so I can have 2 grandkids. You're going to marry a husband even if you aren't actually straight and you don't actually want to have a family. This is your path. This is what you're going to be. You're going to grow up. You're going to be a good wife, good subservient Christian wife for your abusive husband, man, because that is the way that it's supposed to be. Jesus made you that way. Jesus made you to be inferior and lesser and subservient to men. It's literally that simple. 183,000 likes. 183,000 likes for child abuse. It's crazy. How is that okay? You will literally only be a breeding factory. Real. Gender binary is fake news. Yeah, this is literally how it's being upheld. Through abuse. Through social conditioning. It's like you want to break free from that. You want to do something else. Like, no, you're going to get pushback. You're always going to get pushback. It's the same way with like learned helplessness, right? Like no matter what you do, it's just not good enough anyway. So you're just going to like submit to the conservative values, to the status quo. You're never going to explore anything else. And when you see someone else exploring their gender identity, then instead of being like, maybe it's possible for me to do that too, no, it's going to be like jealousy turning into anger and hatred. So you're going to like harass other people as well, right? You're teaching this child that like if they're at school and someone is, you know, maybe growing up in a more supportive family, that this child has to be abusive to like a trans kid, to gay kids, and so on. That's what you're teaching your child. It's like transphobia is like learned behavior. Homophobia, misogyny, it's all learned behavior through like the patriarchal system. And the parents are just like giving it to their children this way through this form of abuse. It's so sad. And people are applauding you for that. People are like, oh, you're a good Christian wife. You know your place. You know your place in society. Don't ever tell your children that it's okay to break the system. Do they think letting kids be kids means? It means that if you're trans, you gotta stay away from kids. And if you're gay, you gotta stay away from the kids. You aren't allowed to offer a different perspective to the cishet normative, actually. That is what it means. But a boy has to be a boy. A boy only has to enjoy boy toys. And girls only have to enjoy toys for girls. Girls only like pink. And boys only like blue, pale blue. But their mother said was actually so scary. Yeah, it's like you will always like that is. You could have been like, oh, you're not a boy. You're going to grow up like me, right? When you're going to be older, you're going to be like me. You're not going to be like your dad. You're going to be like me, right? You could have left it at that, but instead you were like, don't ever say that again. You were trusting me with this, and I'm punishing you for the things that you said. Don't ever open up to me ever again. Keep it for yourself. Suppress it as much as possible. That is what you're teaching your child. And then you're wondering why your kid doesn't wanna talk to you ever again at some point, right? Like that's how it works. That's why.
Shut the f up.
25 years old, I absolutely don't feel like a man, and I don't know what to do. I feel so lost. I already use she, her pronouns, but I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. Do you feel like a woman? Do you think you would be happier if you were, you know, born a woman, signed female at birth, grow up as a woman, feeling like a woman? What country are you in? What do trans rights look like in your country? I'm from Italy. I don't know what trans rights look like in Italy. How's the situation there? They didn't just invalidate them to shatter their sense of safety to open up to people about how they feel. Yeah, exactly. Not good. Try to be myself, but where I live, I got beaten really hard because I was wearing. I'm so sorry. That's terrifying. That is. I'm actually sorry. Like, is it possible for you to move somewhere safer? John Oliver has done a segment or two on Italy. A trans hotline in your area. The fact that most children are gullible makes things even worse. Back then, I believed practically everything my parents told me. Yeah, because you have like a sense of authority. It's just like, oh, your parents know better. But when it comes to your own gender identity and how you feel and so on, like your parents don't know better. And a lot of parents are not actually letting you explore who you are. Like, it's not even when it comes to gender identity and gender expression and so on, but also like your passions. Like what you want to do growing up, right? When I was back then, when I was drawing, when I was trying to do something creative, it was always like, oh, you're not talented. Why bother? Do something else. Do something with computers. Do programming. And I was like, yeah, let me study computer science. And then it was like, I hate this. This is just math. I can't do math. Do you have like other like trans helplines, like resources, like LGBTQ resources in Italy? You can just like ask. Doing programming as a trans woman stereotype, like being a bottom, can confirm both with me. The thing is, like, I feel like I'm no longer like the trans woman stereotype. I'm getting more and more into like the basic white girl stereotype. It's like anytime something is wrong, I'm like, I need a man. Killed my SSD because I was in VR and leaned back in my chair, knocked over my Dr. Pepper and it spilled into my computer. No! Why do a lot of people never ask questions? Why do they always think they know better about stuff they obviously know nothing about? Because parents don't want you to be your own person. Parents think that that children are just like objects, or you know, like they can be molded into like the perfect being. I can assure you, there are way too many straight couples who literally only have a child so they can like live through their child, and basically like their regrets and so on are just like being used in order to form the perfect being, basically like live another life. When your child is not like the parent wants you to be, then you're just going to face a lot of abuse. For me, it was like a little bit different because my mom is like incredibly narcissistic, and instead of being like, oh, I want you to be you know, the ideal version of me, it was like, no, you're too stupid, you're not good enough for it anyway. I was struggling with it, so you're not even able to do this no matter what. You know, like anytime I was doing something creative, like I'm a graphic designer now, right? I designed logos for companies, and my mom, you know, looked at me and was like, are you even like good enough for that? And it's like, I worked for a media company, right? And I was doing these things before I started to just become like a puppy girl on the internet, like a fox pup on the internet. But like, it was like, oh yeah, I'm creative, but like you're more like your dad, and your dad is not creative at all. So actually, you're not capable of doing these things. And it's like, okay, f you. Finishing my degree in design this year. What is your favorite type of like designing? What are you doing? I've been enjoying like doing merch designs actually. You know, being able to, I love logo designs, right? Because you're shaping like a business. You're doing like brand identity and so on. Like I love that. I wish I could do more of that, honestly, again. Like I wish I could do logo stuff again. I've also been enjoying doing the merch design. I used to do a lot of like motion graphics, 2D motion graphics. Especially, it's really fun when you do a logo and then you think about like how you can like animate it. It's kind of my illustration, but I love animation. That's cool. I wish I could draw, honestly. But anytime I tried to do drawing and whatnot, it was like, no, you're not good enough anyway. The thing is, like, it wasn't even like just like the feedback from the parents. It was also like the feedback that I got, like the dismissal and so on that I got from teachers that also shaped me. It was like anytime I'm like passionate about something, anytime I'm like actually doing something and I enjoy something, I'm proud of something, it was just like being destroyed. Imposter syndrome received through parents. Oh yeah, we go now. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you actually find a good resource on what you can do in your area. I know moving is like incredibly difficult. I get that. I'm sorry that you're struggling this way. I wish that things were better. Stay strong. You got this. I believe in you.